their community, and most every business community is willing to be. And the funding is a component that doesn't have to come the same way as we did. But there are a lot of successful business people who would participate if they're asked. And then it changes the conversation that business people have about education, because it's no longer this world they're not involved in, that they're trying to figure out from their standpoint, why doesn't the school do this or that? Why doesn't it work like this? Because now they say, that's Alex. I know Alex. I care about Alex. It's a whole different situation.
They're really up to their elbows in it. It's more visceral and connected.
And they care about these kids. They know these kids. They want to stay connected to these kids. So it's a completely different conversation.
Yeah. Boy, that's so exciting. Well, what kind of principles do you try to teach the kids? I know you say there's no textbook, you know, there's no hot pat answers, but there's underlying principles, perhaps values that are being communicated either by you as the teacher or by the entrepreneurs themselves when they come in as guests?
Right. Now, the overarching business principles are the ones contained in a business plan, because that's the most practical things about starting a business, is the business plan. So our students don't really know that already in the first month they've already tackled several of the components, but they've had a need to do these things. So they've talked about marketing, and they've talked about financials, they've talked about cash flow, they've talked about the basic things you need to run a business through the other stuff we've done. In the course of this, too, I want them to recognize that there's a mindset to entrepreneurial thinking, where you recognize opportunities. You're evaluating the world in a different way than most people do, where they see a table at a restaurant and you see a way to do things better. That's the mindset, where they learn how to brainstorm. They learn how to realize there's not a correct answer in this world for almost anything, that you take all this stuff that you've learned and you figure out the best possible way for you to do what you want to do. They learn to synthesize information, to learn how to communicate that information. I don't care what they do, these are all valuable skills. So during the course of our school year, they will complete at least 3 business plans, they will run at least 1 business, they will have presented at least 2 business plans to a panel of bankers. They will have done most everything an entrepreneur has to do to start.
Wow, can I take that class? That is so fantastic. As I said, I went through the MBA program and we learned a lot of stuff, but I didn't get to do all that. That's fun stuff.
Yeah, most of our
I did do a thesis, but I didn't do a business plan, and I didn't present it to a panel, and I didn't get a chance to do it.
Most of our guests say this is like a master's course.
Yeah.
So in the course of our conversation, we had a conversation earlier this week about, all right, there was $1 billion in currency a year ago, now there's 1.7 trillion. What does that mean? And what does that lead to? And should we worry about inflation? And how does the Fed pull back some of that money? Well, of course, I can't answer that, but we have people who can, who really help the kids start to understand how this works, how the whole system works. And that's a very advanced sort of concept for high school kids to grasp.
What's funny is, when you leave school and you get into the workaday world, all of a sudden you realize, you know, you don't really understand how things work. You mentioned that you visited an automobile dealer and he helped them to understand how the cash for clunkers works. You know, I'm in the real estate business. People don't quite understand how you transfer title and all of the issues associated with, you know, the utility of the property that you're, you know, are there liens against it? Are there all these other things? Until you get into that business, you have no way of knowing that. So it's kind of like, maybe it was Deming, I can't remember who it was, that said, you know, when you get a college degree or you get a high school diploma, really all you get is a learner's permit. The rest is up to you. You know, you're going to go out in the business world to get your master's, to get your PhD, or something like that. But it sounds to me like you're capturing that for the students and making it work in so many ways. We're going to, again, have to take a short break. I hate to do it because I'm having so much fun talking to you, but we have to do that for our sponsor's sake. But when we come back, I'd like to just get your perspectives on the future, where you're going to take this program, and how maybe some other schools could get involved. Can we do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. We'll be right back after the break. You're watching One on One, and today's guest is Craig Lindvahl. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching One on One. My guest today, Craig Lindvahl. Just before the break, I asked you if you could tell us a little bit about your, you know, where you see your work going in the future and your program going in the future, and maybe even how we can light the fire to get this thing moving into other school districts.
Well, there's some very exciting things going on for the future of this class, some of which I can talk about and some of which I can't. But there's been an angel investor fund established, which will be $100,000 eventually. If a student has graduated from our class, has 2 years of college, and they want to start a business in Effingham County, this is an investment fund they can come back to and apply for. These kids are not stupid. They're going to realize fairly quickly that I know all the bank presidents, I know a lot of the business leaders, I know a lot of the successful entrepreneurs.
And they're vested in those kids.
And they want me to succeed.
Yeah.
They know how I think and how I work.
Right.
So, and now our job is to provide a community where they want to come back and they want to do this. But I see eventually what this program does is it creates sort of a mutual fund economy for our county where we've diversified into so many small businesses as opposed to trying to attract, you know, one of the big factories that,
right.
you know, there's maybe 20 a year that happen. So this is a great way to protect ourselves from the economic cycles that are a natural part of the way things work. So I'm excited about that. And we want to stay connected with these kids. So I spend a lot of time texting and emailing and getting together with kids from last year's class, and this will continue to grow year by year by year. And there are other things we have in the works too for long-term funding, for stability for the class, and then also to help other communities who want to do this come in and learn. This is how we did this. This is how we got our partners. This is how we established what it is we teach in this class. This is how you can help your teachers understand how to create this sort of environment where they work as colleagues, sort of with students, and they explore together these things, and they find that students want to know things as opposed to just being recipients of the information and then writing part of it down on a piece of paper to give it back.
Try to regurgitate it later.
They show through their work that they understand the concepts.
Yeah, now I could see them, this is becoming part of them, part of their core. You know, we talked about values. I mean, they're absorbing those by osmosis from you, from the business leaders, and just from the gesture of the community on the part of the angel investors and the business people who are making contributions in kind and contributions in cash. That has got to have an effect on those young minds.
It's an incredible experience for them. I can't say enough that this changes their lives, whatever they do. And any other community who might be interested in finding out how to do something like this, they can visit our class website, which is www.ceoclass.ning.com. And every week there's an update on the kind of stuff that we've done the week before. You can contact us. You can come visit the class. We're always happy to have anybody who wants to come just hang out.
Wow, we'd love to do that. Maybe we'll come down and do a special show just on your class.
We'd love it.
I would love to do that too. Well, any last parting words of wisdom before we leave?
Experiential learning like this is where we need to go with education. We need to make kids want to know, need to know, and then they will become learners, and that will never stop their whole life.
It's like immersing them in the experience, and it's like the difference between looking at a postcard and standing on the beach. Big difference in experiences. Well, we've been talking with Craig Lindvahl, obviously an educator par excellence, someone we're very pleased to have on the show to share his ideas and thoughts with you. Thank you so much for joining us.